as we open up our own access to cosmic resources, we are creating a sort of blueprint within our healing collective, which speaks to the web of life and shows, it's like forging a path where there wasn't a path before, like a pioneer, right? It shows how do you get from feeling like you have no resources to being fully integrated and fully stabilized in access to all resource. So what that means is there's a connection between what we're doing individually and what's happening collectively. And because of that connection, there's actually an increased opening of our cosmic connection. As our consciousness is folding back onto its own nature, we are producing an effect that benefits the collective. And by doing so, we're actually opening a deeper cosmic connection in ourselves to the web of life. Because essentially what we're doing is we're creating a gift for the collective of humanity. And anytime we do something like that, it reflects back on us. It washes away some boundary that was produced by some karma, negative karma. What's happening now is that folding back, that loop of consciousness folding back on itself to make a change in the field of our own consciousness, which then reflects out into the collective and makes a change in the collective and then reflects back again. That whole process, that whole loop is being offered into the field of absolute silence. And I just want to acknowledge how much I appreciate everybody's beautiful ability to fold their consciousness back into the field of silence and support that process. And gratitude rolls. Gratitude rolls. And the gratitude has this incredible softening effect. I'm seeing it as gratitude, but I'm also seeing it, it's being carried on waves of energy produced by the causal body, that big universal body, right? Yeah, the gratitude, it's rolling with this really, really soft light medicine. I call it a light medicine, but basically it's like a resonance produced by the causal body, produced by that sort of ocean-like, that big field-like level of consciousness, which is sitting at the finest level of feeling. It's very, very sweet. And I'm appreciating it because it's reflecting something that I was looking at earlier as I was examining all the different directions that this webinar could take. And so this is like nature's way of saying, go this direction. And that is that there's, when I started noticing that the presence of the universe seemed to be ever with me, what I realized is that it doesn't have this sort of awful, scary, terrible, fierce, like run away and hide kind of quality to it. Instead, that the overarching energy in the cosmos is this lovely adorableness. I realized that what understanding or feeling close to the cosmic reality actually allows us to appreciate ourselves more. Because, we all, as individuals, we tend to be a little critical or having high expectations or liking to push ourselves one way or another. But in the end, people really, all of us, our physical bodies, all of us, are very adorable. We're made of adorableness. We really are. And I would say probably the most primordial level of our cosmic connection comes through our physiologies, because our bodies are literally made of star stuff. Our bodies are super smart, but they're also so completely integrated with the rest of the universe because they're made of the same material as everything else in the universe, that our bodies know at a very sort of primordial level exactly, for example, exactly what the space that the sun and the earth are moving through right now feels like. I mean, it's not something that we tend to talk to ourselves about very much, but it's actually there. And if we think back, like say 100 years or 150 years or 200 years, we'll notice that there were certain beautiful expressions of culture which were different from the ones that we have now. There were expressions of divine intelligence. There have always been wise people, and there have always been like really beautiful hearted people who and great artists and musicians who were able to look into the finest levels of consciousness and find a way to give expression to what was happening at the finest level of creation and bring that out to the surface. And then the collective consciousness would go, oh, that resonates with me. Yeah, I get that. You know, I get that. The arts and crafts movement. Remember that? Gosh, that was such a fun time in art history. Lots of different beautiful times that we've been through. And yeah, just go up a little bit. How's that? Just a little brighter. Okay. Yeah, so that's not the artistic orientation right now, but it doesn't matter. Because what we have now, the particular concepts and aesthetics that we have now that are really beautiful, that really touch people's hearts, are the ones that give best expression to the quality of time and space that we're moving through right now as a collective. So my point is that we do know, and everybody knows, whether you're a great artist or you feel confident in bringing forth those expressions of being or not, we all know that we're part of this big soup. So we want to use that level of knowingness, which is inherent in the physical form. That's why it's so cool to be human, right? It's one of the reasons why we're so lucky that we have physical bodies right now, because we have this vessel, which is by its own nature inherently wise and gives us a cosmic connection, provides a point of reference for us in the universe. Otherwise, without the body, we'd be like all just sort of spread out, kind of like all over the place. But with the body, it kind of helps us focus in on that point. And it also acts as like a little magnet to bring in the specific information about what's going on, what's going down. So this provides a context for the ancestors particularly, but for some people, I would say also past lives. We're clearing away a lot of old belief patterns and assumptions about the body and about oneself, which were not flattering or not true, or limiting in our ability to leverage the incredible access that the human body has to cosmic information. Okay, this is good. So I'm seeing this, first thing's happening is some clearing going on, some clearing of these assumptions and beliefs and stuff like that. And when we're working with ancestors, we're working with DNA. So that means it's clearing for our physical bodies all the way down to the molecules, all the way down to the atoms. We're clearing out those beliefs for the body. And what that's doing is, the result is an upgrade for cellular intelligence. That's what it looks like to me. I'm just sort of, you know what I'm doing? I'm standing here looking out into the field to everybody who's connected in their computers everywhere and all the dear people who are here in person, and taking energy reads at every point on what's going on. And then I have to filter, do a little bit of filtering to let you know the most important points, because there's a lot going on. But upgrade cellular intelligence. Upgrade in cellular intelligence means The cells awakening. And I've been noticing for a while that like everything is awakening, right? The animals are awakening, and the rocks are awakening, and the stars are awakening, and the clouds, the air, all beings of all various types and varieties of physiologies, whether the physiology is made of air or fire or space or water, everything is waking up. The cells are awakening. And one of the things I'm noticing is happening is a very kind of very fine little increase of heat in the cells. It's as if the Agni, which is the fire, it's like a primordial fire. We can think of it as the first fire, right? That we can think of it as the fire at the beginning of creation. We can also think of it as that friction between infinity folding in on its own nature. It keeps folding in on its own nature. And as it does that, it creates like a little friction in there. And for the cells, there's a balancing, looks like a balancing of Agni in the cells. Okay, that's great for everybody, because what that means is improved metabolic process, starting at a cellular level in the physiology. So that's good, because that's the point in the digestive process, we could say, where the rubber meets the road regarding our ability to utilize our resources. So you can see, I'm seeing, and you're seeing all at the same time, how we started out with the healing that increased access to resources, right? And for ourselves and for the collective. And now the next thing that's happening is this upgrade for our physiologies, where our cells are able to utilize the resources more efficiently. So what do the cells do with the resources that come in from the food? Is the cells make energy. Makes energy. Restructures adenosine triphosphate in the cells, which are like the little, I can't think of the word right now. Batteries, that's it. Kind of like batteries. Mitochondria are like the batteries of the cell, right? But in the mitochondria, that's where the food stuff gets turned into energy. And when that happens, it's coming in as a download. So it's good for us to understand this. Integration occurs. There's an integration. The production of adenosine triphosphate is basically an integrative process. So recognizing that, what's happening, our awareness is moving to the point, now awareness is moving from the cells, right? Now it's moving into the quality of integration. And as we put our attention on integration, what happens is integration, being more of an abstract concept, starts to activate at a really fine level of the physiology, a very deep or primordial level, that finest feeling level of the physiology, the causal level. And so integration, discriminative integration. So not just in general, everything connects with everything, but instead it's a kind of very specified integration. So integration activating at the finest level, feeling the causal level. So it's, when I say it integrates, what I mean is that whole causal body, which is kind of like a big ocean, starts to hum or resonate in the mode of that particular quality, in this case, integration. As the integration, humming at the deepest level of feeling, starts to affect the denser levels of the physiology, what happens is it comes up then to like the astral level, the physiology. And for those of you who are or may not be familiar with like the bubble diagram, I use my fingers to be the bubble diagram. There's a big bubble up there and there's a little bubble down there. But we have the field of pure unmanifest being. And this is just a navigational tool. I'm giving you a tool to navigate the ocean of consciousness, okay? We can look at consciousness as a spectrum of complementary pairs of opposites, right? So at one end, we've got dense, solid material, and at the other end, we've got very abstract, less concrete, and then all of a sudden non-manifest level. And so the causal, the non-manifest level is where everything keeps folding back. When consciousness folds back, it folds back into the unmanifest. But then out of the unmanifest come different qualities. And whoops, as the causal body starts to resonate in the quality of integration, what happens is that integration starts to move up into the denser levels of the physiology. And as it comes up to the next level, which is the astral level, where we find the web of life and our world consciousness starts taking on the form of all these threads or strings or strands or streams of consciousness that connect everything to everything. Meridians from very, 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 very tiny, like little knotties, and down to microscopically tiny up to big as the universe, and connecting galaxies, threads of consciousness at that level. At that level, there's a lot of discrimination, because that level of consciousness is like the scaffolding upon which all the manifest levels are sitting. So it's a kind of, at that point, we really start to get something that's kind of solid upon which we can define boundaries and limitations. The boundaries and limitations seen at the relative level of creation can be traced back to that astral level where all those threads are. So in there, it's like I'm folding back into the field of being, right? And I'm going, we need to look deep into that level. Like, what are we looking at there that's important, particularly with regards to our theme, our overarching theme of today's session, which is the cosmic connection. At that astral level of the physiology, we still experience ourselves as the whole universe. It's still a big universe of threads of creation. And they all belong to wherever the awareness, at that level, it's outside space-time. So wherever the awareness goes, it's like, then we just own that. And that quality of adorableness, it's sort of woven through that whole field. So wherever we look, we find some aspect of consciousness that reflects what we really are in our essential nature, which is divine being. Divine being integrating into the relative.